He always said, family is business. I believed him. When his text came in, "Don't come to the reunion, we're cutting ties," I stared at it for a long time. Not because it hurt, but because it confirmed what I already knew. I was no longer the son he could control. So I texted back, "Understood." Then I opened my laptop. 32 tabs, one secured drive, and a password he didn't know existed. My father taught me everything about corporate structuring, but he never taught me humility. That was my lesson to give. He used my name as collateral on a $2.5 million expansion loan for his company, Reynolds Imports. My signature, my credit, my responsibility. A family project, he called it. But the project wasn't about family, it was about legacy, his. When I found out he'd rewritten the will to cut me out entirely and pass the business to my sister's husband, the man who once shadowed me in every meeting, I didn't argue. I smiled, signed the last document he needed, waited, then I built my exit. It started 3 months ago, the night I caught my sister whispering in Dad's office after dinner. I only heard fragments. "He won't see it coming. He trusts you." That was enough. I didn't confront her, didn't yell, didn't ask why, because in this family, asking why was weakness. Instead, I began to watch. I noticed the accountant visiting late at night, the unrecorded withdrawals, the offshore transfers labeled consulting fees. My father wasn't building a business anymore, he was building a parachute, one I was meant to cushion. So I studied his every move. I mirrored his arrogance in silence. And when the board renewed the loan using our shared guarantee, I let it happen. Then, quietly, I rewrote the filing. The amendment was subtle, invisible to the untrained eye. My name off the collateral, his alone. Legally binding, clean. By the time he texted me to cut ties, the papers were already filed. 36 hours later, my phone lit up like a dying flare. 78 missed calls. One voicemail from his accountant, voice shaking. "Evan, your father needs you to call back immediately. The bank, they said you've withdrawn. This isn't—" I ended the voicemail halfway. The silence after was pure. I brewed coffee, sat by the window, watched the morning light crawl up the side of the house I'd built with my own hands. Not his money, mine. That's when I got the knock on the door. It wasn't him. It was my sister. Pale, shaking, mascara smudged. "Dad's losing everything," she whispered. "The bank froze the accounts." I tilted my head. "Everything?" Her voice cracked. "They said you took your name off the loan. You can fix this." I smiled. "No, I can't. You told me I wasn't family anymore." She looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Maybe she didn't. The quiet son who once begged for approval was gone. What stood there now was the man they built, their reflection sharpened into a blade. "Evan, please, he's your father." I stood, slow and deliberate. He was. Now he's a man who bet his empire on a signature he didn't own. Her lips trembled. "You planned this?" I leaned close, voice calm. "No, I prepared for this. You all made the choice." By evening, the calls had stopped. His office was locked. The news broke about the default. $2.5 million in personal debt. Properties under lien. Assets frozen. I watched the chaos unfold from my desk. The same one where I'd once written proposals he claimed credit for. He finally called that night. "Evan," his voice cracked through the static. "What have you done?" "I did what you taught me," I said. "I protected myself." "You'll destroy the family." "You already did." "I just made it official." He fell silent. I could hear the hum of his regret, the weight of realization pressing into his breath. "You think this makes you strong?" he said finally. "No," I said softly. "It makes me free." Then I hung up. The next morning, I went to the reunion. Not to join, to end it. The estate was quiet, except for the whispers. Faces turned when I walked in, the disowned son returning like a storm no one predicted. My father stood near the fireplace, shoulders heavy, eyes hollow. He looked smaller, older, human. "You shouldn't be here," he muttered. "Neither should your accountant," I replied. "He's outside, explaining how your tax shield vanished." He flinched, the last of his power slipping through trembling fingers. I set a folder on the table, the final documents, proof of his failed transfers and misused trust funds. "Everything here goes to the board in 12 hours, I said, "unless you sign over the shares you tried to hide." He looked up at me, eyes wet. "You do that to your own father? You did it first." He signed. He didn't have a choice. I left without another word. Outside, the air smelled like rain. The house behind me, the empire he built on control, was collapsing in silence. I didn't feel guilt, just clarity. Betrayal taught me patience. Revenge taught me peace.